Good morning, everybody. Good morning. The lights were being dimmed. I think that was a cue for us to get started on a beautiful Friday morning outside here in Boston and New England. Thank you very much for being here. I'm Peter Rothstein. I head up the New England Clean Energy Council, and it's a real pleasure of mine to be able to welcome you here today, help to kick us off, and to be doing this in co-sponsorship with our great friends at Google, where we've been going through a very valuable and interesting collaboration over the last few months as we planned for this event, which we're going to get into in just a moment. So we're here for accelerating clean energy innovation and investment in New England. Big, broad topic. It didn't actually, we were trying to find a catchword to summarize that. We didn't quite get to that. But the phrase is timely, and every time as we've been reaching out to a lot of you to invite you here, and this is an invitation-only event. We know that we've got a great gathering of leaders from the private sector, from the public sector, strategic, smaller companies, growing companies in the clean energy space, research, press as well. As we've reached out to talk about this event and to invite some of our speakers to be part of it, we've had a fabulous response because I think everyone understands that the field of clean energy and the work and the kind of examples that are here in New England are at the leading edge of some of the evolutions that are taking place in this industry. New types of partnerships, new approaches to go to market, new ways to do partnerships around investment, roles of large companies as customers and partners. A lot of this is evolving in ways that it absolutely has to, and so we've designed a lot of this day to be an opportunity to learn from each other and to be highly participatory with a lot of you as well, which we'll talk about in a second. This is so important and strategic for the New England Clean Energy Council. Our whole mission since we got started has been to accelerate the clean energy cluster across New England to world-class status. And so we look broadly at the policy opportunities, the education, the partnership, the business models, and what can we do as an industry organization to help make these connections and grow this industry. And I think we're going to be touching upon a lot of the really important, timely themes here today. We're here in Boston, here in Massachusetts, and here in New England. We're at a core of what is already certainly one of the leading clean energy, clean tech innovation clusters in the world, not only in the U.S. The Clean Edge report, which recently came out, rated Massachusetts as number 2, and rated in terms of clean energy leadership, clean energy innovation leadership, but also included the other New England states in the top third. And we know that all of these states have synergistic programs, have partnerships, have companies who are doing work across state borders. These are small states and a collaborative region, and the private sector works across all of these lines. So we see these opportunities spreading more and more across the region. We're also in an area here in New England and in Massachusetts and in Boston where we have seen successive generation after generation of new industries emerge and grow as regional innovation clusters. We can see this going back, well, certainly most recently we see it in the biotech area, we see it in information technology, but we've seen it previous to that in areas like plastics and manufacturing and shipbuilding, marine engineering. We've seen it in a whole range of areas. That's been part of the competitive advantage of this region, these kinds of innovation-based industries. And we're doing it again in clean energy, but there are some ways in which clean energy is different. And that's part of what we're going to be talking about today as well. When we thought about putting together this program, we were actually at the New England Clean Energy Council in some of our board meetings and some of our meetings with member companies. We were talking about some of these themes quite a bit over the last year or so. And then when Google actually reached out to us back maybe 6 months ago, I think, and to engage in a similar conversation, we said, this is really timely. We'd love to do an event together, and we've been thrilled to be working on this. And to think about, well, what are some of the key themes we actually want to bring onto the agenda, bring into the dialogue? So we've keyed up what we hope will be a flow of ideas and perceptions and understandings and questions or things that we still have to solve and that all of us can work together on solving, but on things like what makes clean energy and clean tech different? Because if we've had these other innovation clusters, where can we learn what's similar, but what's different as well about this industry? What are some of the challenges we haven't figured out yet? And then how can we dig into some specific examples, leading edge examples with some entrepreneurs in this area, with some large corporates, with people who are doing partnerships, understand some of the challenges and approaches being tried. And then what are some of the unique organizations who exist across the ecosystem and the roles that they're playing, or the roles they can play to help address some of these models in this region. Those are some of the themes that we've sort of woven through the day, and throughout we're going to be looking for some of your participation. So we've invited a group of leaders from many of our companies, many of the folks in the public sector, from research, from some of the large corporates who are doing some business here, and who are expanding some of their business relationships here as well. And we will have it for every one of the panels. You will see a Q&A session, but also for the very last wrap-up session, we're going to be turning it around and calling on you first to share some of your takeaways or thoughts about what we still have to work on to get this right. So be taking notes and have some thoughts to share, as well as sharing through the hashtag that's up there. We also are going to have a great opportunity to hear from a couple of our elected officials from this region. Governor Deval Patrick from Massachusetts, who's been a great leader in building some of the policies and being a great partner to the industry, and also Senator Jeanne Shaheen, former governor as well from New Hampshire, who has both the state but also the national perspective on some of the approaches that really are important to help accelerate this industry. So for NECEC, as we work to put this day together, we really couldn't be happier to have been partnering with Google on this effort. And as part of that, I want to turn this over to my colleague and co-host from Google, Michael Terrell, one of the leaders in the energy and sustainability team, to be part of this welcome. Michael.
Thank you, Peter. And thanks to everyone at the New England Clean Energy Council for being such tremendous partners in this effort. We have been working together well for the past few months, and we're really thrilled to be here today. And also want to point out Matt Dunn from Google's community, who leads Google's community affairs. Matt, wave your hand. You'll hear from him later today. And also thanks to Liz Schwab on Matt's team, who's helped organize this event. Liz is based in our Cambridge office, which is now almost 1,000 Googlers, which is just really amazing, and we're really thrilled about that. So a question I get often is, why is Google interested in energy? And the answer is really simple. Our business is absolutely dependent on our ability to procure energy. If you look at our carbon footprint as a company, over 85% of it is electricity use associated with our data centers. So finding good, clean sources of power is really important for our company as a way to operate and do business. And I think one of the things that's becoming most interesting is that we're seeing energy more and more as a business opportunity for the company. And I'll just give some examples of some of the things that we're doing in the energy space. I mentioned data centers. We've got a great team at Google that's working to make our data centers some of the most efficient in the world. We've been able to save over $1 billion from energy efficiency measures that we've taken in our data centers to make them about 50% more efficient than the average industry data center. We've also been working to procure renewable sources of power. We have a goal to be a 100% renewable company, and that started with a 1.6 megawatt solar installation at our headquarters in California, and now we've expanded that to be signing big power purchase agreements to power our data centers in places like Iowa, Oklahoma. We most recently signed one in Sweden to power our data center in Finland, and we've got over 300 megawatts of power purchase agreements. I mentioned investments. We are now investing in the energy space as an investor. It started with a $38 million tax equity investment at a wind farm in North Dakota. It's now grown to over $1 billion portfolio of clean energy investments, mostly projects like solar projects and wind projects, but also we've invested in funds that are being used to deploy rooftop solar by companies like Clean Power Finance and Solar City. Our ventures team has made some energy investments in companies like Nest Labs and Silver Spring Networks. We've got a team in our philanthropy, Google.org, that's working on engineering projects related to energy. Some of you may be familiar with the Google Power Meter that we launched a couple of years ago. And we've recently hired Arun Majumdar from DOE's ARPA-E to help run our engineering projects at Google.org. So we have a lot happening at Google on energy. We're still learning ourselves, which is one of the reasons why we're here today. And we're still looking for opportunities, which is one of the reasons why we're here today. And I firmly believe that as we see more and more gridlock in DC, regional efforts like what's happening here are going to become more and more important. And as we see federal stimulus dollars dry up, finding and broadening the pool of investors is going to become much more important. And so that's why we're here today. Peter mentioned that the rankings on this area as a clean tech hub, absolutely. That the New England is without a doubt, beyond Silicon Valley, the most important clean tech hub in the United States. And we're thrilled to be here today and to be part of this discussion, and really looking forward to seeing what emerges from some of the panels that we have today. We have a great lineup of speakers and a great audience here, so really looking forward to it. And thanks again to Peter and everyone at New England Clean Energy Council for being such great partners. And with that, I'll turn it over to Peter.
Thanks, Michael. The partnership is such an important part of everything that we do, and it couldn't have been working smoother than it has in this case. So I'm not sure who, I want to take a moment and acknowledge some of the public officials, both elected and appointed, who are here, and I'm not sure if they're all here yet. I certainly see Massachusetts State Representative Frank Smizek here in the front, who's the chair of the House Committee on Climate Change. Great to see you here. And I'm not sure if Senator Pacheco is here yet. Senator Mark Pacheco, chair of the Global Warming and Climate Change Committee in Massachusetts. And I know Senator Ben Downing was scheduled to be here, who's chair of the Massachusetts Telecommunications Utility and Energy Committee. I also know there's a certain political activity going on in the Berkshires today and with the Senate race that we have going on. So he may have been pulled out there, unless he's here. I do also want to acknowledge, and I'll be welcoming him up in just a moment, Secretary Rick Sullivan, who's here from Massachusetts, who's Secretary of Energy and Environmental Affairs here in the Commonwealth, and plays the leadership role on that area for the Patrick administration. Great to have you here and be collaborating with us. Also, Secretary Bobby Cates-Garnick from Energy and Environmental Affairs in the back over there, who's the Undersecretary of Energy. I'm not sure if Stephen Clark is here yet. Nope. Okay, Stephen hopefully will be joining us. I do see Alicia Barton here in the front, who's the CEO of the Mass Clean Energy Center. Great to have you here as well. We will have a couple of colleagues from Connecticut as well, from DEEP and from the CEFIA, the Connecticut Green Bank. Governor, welcome. So I'm going to make a transition, as we do at these points. Great to have you here, Governor. So in just a moment, we'll be hearing from Governor Patrick. Wonderful to have him here. We could, in many ways, we couldn't do this kind of an event without the involvement and collaboration of the administration and other state officials and the legislature in Massachusetts, which in many ways it plays a leading position, helping to bring a lot of their colleagues from other New England states along as well. We've got thousands of companies across New England in the clean energy area, and this growth has been phenomenal. And a big part of it is because of the leadership, the friendship, and the policies that have been put in place as part of the Patrick administration over the last 6 years. It's been a huge driver for the growth of this industry, and continues to be today as we get into bigger scale deployments and procurement sorts of mechanisms. The team from the management of the Department of Energy Resources, the Massachusetts Clean Energy Center, which plays a critical role in supporting deployment and investments in this young industry, it couldn't be a better partnership. I want to welcome Secretary Sullivan to come up and join and actually to be able to introduce the governor. Secretary Sullivan runs this organization that was put together at the beginning of the Patrick administration, the first state in the country to combine energy and environment under one secretaryship, which has been absolutely critical to be able to use both levers in an effective way and look at the cross-planning of environmental protection and energy advancement, clean energy advancement. That's the challenge, and that's the need to be able to make those things work together. Secretary Sullivan is responsible for the Department of Environmental Protection, Public Utilities, Energy Resources, Conservation, Recreation, Agriculture, Fish and Game, Water Resources Authority, Energy Facility Siting Board, and of course the Mass Clean Energy Center. So please welcome Secretary Rick Sullivan to come up and join us.